Hey everyone, it's Evan and Megan.
Hello.
Today we wanted to make a video for you about India. So who this video is for are people who are going to be traveling to India, people who are thinking about traveling to India, or folks who might just be curious about what India is like nowadays. We're going to be answering questions that we get about India or things that people commonly ask themselves when they think about this country. So we're going to answer some of those. We're going to give some travel advice and tips and perspectives that would be helpful for people who are visiting this country. And then finally, we're just going to talk about our personal feelings about this country and whether or not it might be a good fit for you to travel here. So, okay, stick around. We're going to start with the questions and let's go ahead and jump right into it.
The first question is, with India being how big it is, what would be your advice on planning a route and how did we pick the route that we did? So we've been in India for 3 months now, and currently we're in Kerala, which is in the very south, but we've started out in Mumbai, which is very west, and went to Rajasthan. We went up north to the very far north in Ladakh. We went all the way east to West Bengal. So we've kind of hit the main 4 corners of India. But India is huge. Like, we have spent 3 months here, we just have scratched the surface, and we really feel like there's so much more that we could have gone and seen, but there's other places in the world to see, you know? So how we planned our route is we kind of generally just find a couple things in a country that we think look cool, and then have our sights set on that. And then once we get to the country, we talk to people, other travelers, locals, and we figure out where to go from there. So when we were in Jaisalmer, Rajasthan, we were talking to some people who are from West Bengal, which is on the complete other side, and West Bengal wasn't even on our radar, but they were telling us how awesome it is, so we went there, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing happened to us when we were in Mumbai. So while we were walking around the city one day in Mumbai, some folks came up and started talking to us, and they asked us where we were going and what our plans were, and we told them we didn't really know, and so they recommended this city called Nasik. And then I also saw something about this city on a YouTube channel, Carl Rock, who does a bunch of videos in India, so you should check him out as well. But it's like wine country, and so yeah, coming to the country, we had a couple ideas of places we wanted to go, things we wanted to see maybe. Not the Taj Mahal. We did not go to the Taj Mahal, and unless it's like a bucket list thing for you, I mean, from everyone we've talked to, it doesn't sound like it's maybe as glamorous as you would think. So that's what we do, is we kind of go with it, talk to people, and listen for the recommendations, because with India being as big as it is, it's hard to know like where are those like cool hidden spots, right? So that's where talking to people who live here locally will be like, oh, well, like 3 hours away, take a train and then take a cab to the city, and there's like some temples there and some other things. I mean, there's lots of really cool, more like off the beaten track spots you could get to just by talking to people who live here.
Second question is, how much time do you need to travel India? I think 3 months, absolute minimum. Like, if you vibe with it and you find places you like, it's just so big.
Yeah. 3 months, I mean, if you are like, I already have a ticket, I'm only gonna be here for a month, like, don't worry about it too much. My advice for that would be, you know, if you are bouncing around a lot, like, that's cool. Just be ready for maybe a little bit more like travel burnout. It can be draining, that's what I was trying to say. But if you are only gonna be here for a month, just take time to like slow down if you can, just like relax. Again, it's a big country and you're not gonna get all of it even if you're here for like a year. I agree with Megan, 3 months is a very good amount of time.
Yeah, and I think with India as well, like Evan said, the travel burnout, like the travel days we have found are just a little bit more stressful and chaotic, even than trying to like cross borders on the motorcycle on the Pan American. I feel like the travel days here are more exhausting. But then once we get to a city and can kind of settle into it, it's really nice and chill. So like, we've really enjoyed slower travel here in India. I think slow travel through this country is the best way you can experience it.
Yeah, and really quick a note on travel burnout, which we'll probably talk more about later, but what we mean by like the travel days being especially difficult is one day comes to mind in particular when we were in Leh. a small city up in Ladakh. Really cool place, highly recommend visiting, but they have a tiny, tiny airport. And coming from the United States, where even like the smallest airports are like orderly and there's like a way that you do it, this was it was madness. Like, it was like we were all trying to escape like some sort of natural disaster or zombie infection. Like, people were swarming the airport. Like, there wasn't a line queue. Like, we were in line. People would just shove their way in front of us to go get their tickets.
And it was also like a military airport. Like, so all the like military guys were also trying to get on the flights, but they had like they just were mixed with civilians.
Yeah, it was nuts.
It was crazy.
It was a very exhausting day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like it became
We had to get to another airport and then to another airport and then take a 2-hour cab ride, but there was protests, so the road was shut down, and then the power went out at the airport, and
but at the end of the day we got to Darjeeling, which was 100,000 times worth the trouble to get there. But anyway, just to give you an example of like, not every day is gonna be like that, and large airports are much smoother.
Yeah.
But just when you're here and you have to go from point A to point B, the farther you go from point A to point B, there's just more things that will probably, especially for like if you're from the United States or like a Western country, it becomes more difficult, and it just is more of a drain on you to kind of like figure out what's going on. So anyway, yep.
When you think back to India, what are the first 3 things that come to mind?
Ooh.
That's a hard question.
It is a hard question.
Because India is so big, each area is so different too, so trying to put India in a box is like impossible.
Okay, I'll say this. So when we got like married in India, like our Indian wedding, that's like a whole nother story, but really quick, we were on a train in Rajasthan and we met some people there, really lovely folks, and they invited us over for dinner, and so we came over for dinner, and then next thing you know, they're like, oh, you need to try on the traditional wedding clothes that we wear in India, and then it turned into like a big little fake wedding, and that was super
fun. The whole
fun.
neighborhood showed up.
Yeah, that was really fun. There's that. I would say the trains. Train system is pretty iconic in India. Like, you use trains to get literally everywhere.
And once you figure out how to book them online, which is like a little bit of a learning curve initially, they're pretty easy. You can get them anywhere, pretty much any time of day.
Yeah. I think of places, like I think of like Leh and Darjeeling and just like all these places and the people that you meet and like
and the food.
Yeah, it's all wrapped in together.
Yeah.
Again, it's hard to think of the top 3 things.
I think like if you're thinking about like my travel experience, I think I would be surprised at how hospitable Indians are and how excited they were to meet us and just invite us into their home, and they were always asking about our lives and things, which was really special. It's also very loud and chaotic, especially in the major cities. And then the food. In the south, it's really good. In the north, it was not what we expected. Those are my 3 things in box.
So this next question is a pretty hot topic. If you say you're traveling to India, people go like, well, is it safe? Is it safe for you? And the short answer is yes, but the long answer is who you are and where you're going and what you're gonna do. So is India safe? Yeah. Like Mumbai, one of the biggest cities in the world, felt safer than like our hometown, not even like hometown, but like our home state, like anywhere in our home state, like you can go out at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., people aren't gonna bother you. People are friendly, like people are looking out for you. And if anybody did get smart, get dumb and try to do something, like, people would make sure that you're okay.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to be like, people think there's like these horror stories of, you're going to get murdered and raped, or people are gonna beat you up and like take all your stuff just because you're like a white guy. I think too, like one more point and then I'll give it over to Megan. But God, I think like people, like especially from America, when they think India, they think like Slumdog Millionaire.
Yes.
They're just like, people are just like, oh, India's just a massive slum ghetto, and it's like, it's not even
Absolutely
close.
not.
Like, they're like, don't keep all your things close to you because people are just gonna steal it off your back. It's like, nah, man, like, people don't do that here, like, what do you, like, get that out of your head. That's not India. Now, don't get me wrong, there's probably plenty of Indians who would attest that, and I'm sure that it has happened and will happen and continue to happen. But by and large, nah, it's a modern country, you know. So
modern, yeah. And then like safety as a woman here, I was a little bit nervous because I heard of like if you don't dress very conservatively, like people think you're like a floozy and like people grab you in the streets and stuff. And I never once had that happen. And so I was like very nervous coming into the country, but it was actually so chill. Like we would get a lot of stares, very intense stares, and in certain areas they would have certain different vibes, but it was easier for me to travel here than I thought it would be. I have felt very safe here.
Yeah. So that being said, if you're a female, you know, traveling solo, you might have a different experience than we did because we're traveling as a married couple.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. We didn't write this down, but I'm going to say it while I think of it. If you're a couple traveling to India and you're not married, there are some places that will not let you book a room if you're not married. We booked a room from Mumbai the day we landed, and it did not mention anywhere on there that you have to be married to get a room. And then they like let us know, they're like, we need to see that you're married, and they checked the names on their passports, but they refused another couple that was there. So like, just keep that in mind.
Like, thank goodness we just got married 2 months before.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The only place that happened was in Mumbai. Don't know why.
I saw a couple other Airbnbs that talked about it.
Yeah.
Too,
that was more in the northern area.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind when you're traveling.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
How did we not get sick in India?
Ooh, yeah.
Delhi belly is like a famous thing here. We didn't get sick. I mean, we still have like 3 days here, so knock on wood, but
yep.
How did we not?
So not getting sick. We really were kind of like sketched out about this. We were like told by everyone we were going to get sick.
Evan got so sick in Central America. I think he was scarred.
Yeah, I was like, oh no. So the thing is so we took probiotics every day. So pack some probiotics and take a probiotic every single day that you're here. That's the number one thing. Number two, there is a local drink called lassi, 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 and it's essentially just Greek yogurt that they mix with like some sugar. It's delicious.
So good.
It's cheap, and you can get it anywhere. But it's packed with probiotics, not just probiotics, but like local like probiotics. So with those two things together, like just get that in your system. Eat light for the first couple of days. If you fly into Mumbai or Delhi, you're going to get lots of vegetarian options. You know, be sure to do that. Just ease into it.
We also didn't really eat the street food.
We did a couple times.
A few times, but I think out of fear of getting sick, we kind of shied away from it a little bit more because there's so many restaurants, like established restaurants here, which I don't know if they're any cleaner than the street food or not, but it made us feel a little like we weren't going to get sick as much, so we mostly stuck to restaurants.
Yeah, just, you know, again, that's like, Indians have notoriously tough stomachs, and so what would be like a good, like, hey, you can go eat there, eat this, for them and be fine, like for us it might be brutal. And the other thing too is like a lot of street food serves in like newspaper here, which was like weird to me, you know, just because I was like, is this new newspaper, used newspaper, like, isn't there like ink on the newspaper? And I opened up my phone this morning, I saw a thing and it was like, India pushing to not serve on newspapers anymore because of health concerns. And I was like, yeah, no kidding. Like, I did it once and I was like, this is weird, I don't want to do this. So you don't get that in a restaurant. So yeah, and some of you might be like, you guys are crazy, but that's what we did when we get sick. So
pro tips on not how to get sick.
Yeah, that's us. So for this next part, we just finished like the questions, so now we're going to get more into, for people who are going to be traveling here, things that we think you should know that'd be helpful, like tips and things that we found surprising that maybe you don't have to find out the surprising way. So let's just jump into it. Megan?
So foreign credit cards. We use Charles Schwab Bank because they are super easy for international things. But upon getting here, we quickly learned that if you have a foreign credit card, you can't really do very much. Basically, their credit card systems only work if you have an Indian bank account. And you can only get an Indian bank account if you have a 5-year visa and you're here for a long time. Plus, you don't want one right now. So we had trouble a lot of times, like we couldn't pay with our card at restaurants. We couldn't use like the Uber Eats equivalent here.
Can't use Google Pay.
Oh yeah, you
can't use their phone pay. So Google Pay in India and Google Pay in the United States are entirely different.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work.
And so your card just literally won't work anywhere, and you can't set up a phone thing. So you will need cash a lot of times, and which isn't that big of a deal, but it definitely put us in a pinch more often than we would have preferred. So, and we didn't read about that anywhere on stuff before we left.
Yeah, so be ready for that.
So in regards to hotel rooms, we had done research and found that a lot of times people would get scammed while doing, like, trying to find a hotel room, so you kind of just have to show up to somewhere and look at a room. But we just used Airbnb the entire time and found it to be awesome. We never had a bad Airbnb experience.
No, and you can get really good stuff for cheap. Here, I'm just gonna show you really quick where we're at. So this was $24 to book a night. Here's our like outdoor patio in Trivanendrum. That's really nice. We've got a big bed. It's air conditioned, 2 fans, full kitchen. I mean, we have 100 megabytes per second Wi-Fi. It's really nice. So Airbnb is the way to go.
Yeah.
We think. And then, of course, I messed it up. There we go. So, yeah. Plus, the hosts are always super cool, and they usually, I mean, a lot of people speak English here, but like, yeah, they're always willing to help you out.
They've made us food multiple times and tell you where to go. We highly recommend using Airbnb here.
So, one of the things about India is that there's like 28 different states, and each different state has a local language, and it's really helpful to pick up a couple phrases from someone who lives there to like greet and meet people on the
Get so
street.
excited when you speak their local language.
Yeah, like if you're in Rajasthan and you just Ram Ram Sa, like, you know, Aapse Milke Acha Laga is like, you know, Ram Ram Sa is hello, and they're like, you know, Ram Ram Sa. And then Aapse Milke Acha Laga is the equivalent of just like, it's very nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And like when you drop that, they're like, what? You speak Hindi? And you're like,
Then
no,
they
I
start
don't.
just spouting Hindi at you, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, okay.
But that's not everywhere, right? So everywhere has different.
In Ladakh, it was Jule.
Jule. Oh yeah, Jule for everything. Hello, goodbye, thank you.
Yeah.
Jule. So
Like, just, it goes a long way. Anywhere you travel to, you can learn a little bit of the local language.
yeah.
So when we were packing for this, we didn't really think too much about how we should pack because we had a kind of a tight turnaround. And we overpacked for sure, only to find out once we got here that you can buy literally anything you need here in India. So we wish we would have packed half the stuff that we did, just so we could like just pick it up in country if we needed it.
Yeah, for sure. I think the things that I, you know, really enjoyed bringing it that I've been using for like over close to 2 years now, year and a half, is I wear merino wool t-shirts, which are really great, and I have like a nice pair of shorts. But besides that, like, yeah, you can get so much stuff in this country. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Here's something you should do. So when you're coming into country, highly recommend either getting a SIM card for your phone or a burner phone. Don't do what we did and get it outside the airport. Get it at the airport. Even if you get
pretty
in
much have to get it at the
at 1:30 in the morning and you're exhausted, like, in the airport there's gonna be a stand, and you can go up and you just pay them, and it's the right price, and they're not gonna try and rip you off, and it's really quick and really easy, and you get the SIM card, you can put it on your phone. We didn't do that, and we had to spend like a whole day finding a place, and then we had to like get it to find out that we were overcharged, and it works, you know, but
It's hard to do outside of the airport,
Yeah.
largely because of if you don't have an Indian bank account.
yeah,
So-
the Indian bank account deal.
Yeah,
So
do
just
it in the airport.
get it in the airport.
Regarding trains and how much you're going to use them, the website, there's a couple different websites you can use. The official Indian Rail website is like irctc.com or something, and it's a little bit confusing because you do have to create an account, and the prompts are kind of weird, and it's just a little hectic. But once you do figure that out, it is awesome. You can pay with your foreign credit card in there, which I loved. And yeah, there's just like, I had to look up YouTube videos and stuff to kind of make sure I was doing it correctly. But once you get it, it's a breeze.
If they're traveling as a couple, what's the recommendation so they get seats next to each other or the same?
So whenever you're booking your train, you'll see like the train you want. You go into select it to book it, and then you have to put in your passenger details. So I put in my name, my passport number, and then it lets you do a seat preference. And the first couple times that we did this, I would just be like, no preference, or window seat, sure. And then Evan and I would get seats in like far apart from each other.
I was like, thank God, finally.
I was like, no, come back to me. So then if you are trying to sit with your partner, you choose one as like the window preference and then the other one as no preference, and they will put you together. There's also these little boxes that you have to tick that are like only book if the seats are available in the same carriage, so the same train car, and in the same berth, which is like each little section. So if you don't select those, then we would be on different train cars, which it would just not be the best idea. Oh, and then you can also use Google Maps while you're waiting for your train or tracking your train, because sometimes the train stations all vary depending how rural you are or in a big city, like the information available. And so, like just yesterday, there was a train that came at 8:55, and then our train came at 9 o'clock, and we were both going to the same place, and there wasn't anywhere that had like the train numbers posted. And so when the 8:55 train came at 8:57, we were like, is this our train or is this not? And then it came and left because we didn't get on, because I was like, I don't think so. And then at 9:02, our train came, and they're usually pretty on time, but we were able to just open up Google Maps and track it so we could see like, yes, this is the right train, because otherwise there was no indication.
Yeah, you'll get your train number on your ticket, and then when you put in the destination you're going to, which was here at Trivandrum, from Varkala, which is where we were, it showed trains and it showed our train number, so you click it and it'll show it like where it's at live and what station it just left and which station it's coming to, which is also good if you're on the train and you're like, what's the next station? Where do I need to get off?
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going into Mumbai or Delhi and there's like tons of train stations, you know, how do I know? So it's really helpful. Just use the Google option for that.
Yeah.
Google overlords for life. Okay, so like we said earlier with the airport deal, if you're taking a domestic airport flight, a couple quick things you should know. There's no like just going into the ticket counter and like getting your, like, you don't get a boarding pass before you come. Sometimes when you book a ticket, you'll get like a boarding pass, like a scannable thing, but most of the time you show up to the airport and you need to talk to someone and be like, hey, like, I need to get my boarding pass, and then they'll get the appropriate information from you and direct you where to go. It's a little different everywhere, but because of this process and it being different, and in my understanding, like a little more hectic, be at the airport domestically at least 2 hours before. Like, if you're one of those people who stresses about it, make it 3, you know? Like, just give yourself tons of time to, like, if it's like, oh my gosh, like I have 3 hours. So be there early. It literally takes 2 hours.
Like, there's like 3 different lines that you have to stand in before you can even get to security, and then security is just nuts.
It can be crazy.
Everywhere. So, just like, be patient, just chill, and then you'll get through it. So overall impressions of India, I think when I look back on India, I will be like, oh, remember this, remember this. I think in certain times when we were here, I really had some hard days where I was like, I don't like this place. But I think overall, like, I'm so happy we traveled here and had this experience. I would certainly come back to certain areas of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really liked it. So I agree with Megan. There was some really hard days there, which are just like, they're tough. But it's a fantastic country, and it's very much worth visiting. If you've never traveled outside of the United States before, this would be a tough one to come to first. We've both traveled pretty extensively before coming here, so there are some like things that you learn about yourself and being outside of your comfort zone when you first travel. You know, coming into India is just like you're getting thrown in the deep end. Like, it can be pretty startling. Even for us who are pretty seasoned travelers, it can be pretty shocking sometimes. Just, you know, managing, like, you know, yourself, and then like learning how to like relax and have fun and making decisions. And if you've never haggled with people about rides before, just shut them down entirely. Be like, no, go away. I don't want to talk to you. Like, if you're not comfortable with that, you're gonna get walked on in India in some places.
You kind of have to be tough here, because people are a little bit more aggressive in this part of the world than they are where we're from.
In the north, again, the north and the south of India are very different. Which is what I was gonna say is like, I really, really enjoyed all of India for different reasons. The south has been super cool. Kerala's dope. The
So
people
chill.
are different. It's very chill. You know, so just the environment's a little bit more laid back, I would say. But yeah, all in all, really enjoyed India. Again, I think that there's just so much to see here. And so, you know, it's the biggest country in the world, and I feel like I owed it owe it to myself, and maybe you do too if you want to come and experience it, because it's such a unique experience.
Yeah.
And you'll find places that you fall in love with, and you'll find places that you want to leave immediately. And
So that's like any country you travel to, right?
totally.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely recommend. Comes with a little bit of a learning curve, but all in all, just such a fantastic experience.
I think it's made us better travelers and have more of a worldly perspective. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, well, if you found this video helpful, or you liked it, or anything like that, please leave a like. Feel free to subscribe. We're a little slow with content nowadays because we're traveling differently and we're working online more, but we do love the support from you. If you want to leave a comment down below about like something else you think people should know, or something you disagree with, or you're from India, which I know someone watching this video is, because it's how it happens. Like, let us know what you think, right? You know, you live here too. So yeah, but we really appreciate you hanging out with us for this amount of time. You know, it's a little bit of a long one. So
Yep.
yeah, ask us some questions. If we didn't answer anything, we'll get down to you in the comments below. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Much love.
Bye.
Peace.